delicious. Remember a ways back when Koji Igarashi promised to crowdfund a reimagined Castlevania? Well, just to make sure there's no confusion, this is not that. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is still on its way. Curse of the Moon is the result of a funding goal that was reached during the original campaign. A little bonus to tide people over until the main attraction gets here. Full disclosure, I did get my copy of the game for free because of the tier I pledged at, but even if I hadn't, I don't think it would have changed my feelings towards Curse of the Moon too much. Look at those backgrounds. Look at the style and effort put into all the environmental details here. Look at the way your characters are drawn and how both they and the enemies you face just pop against the bleak and dreary atmosphere. And then watch that atmosphere shift and change with each passing level, just enough to keep things interesting, but never enough to shake that feeling of claustrophobia and looming danger. Listen to that melody-centric soundtrack that simultaneously pumps you up and creeps you out. Look how the fog parts at the beginning of a new adventure, leaving in its wake just one man and the monstrous night ahead of him. If I didn't believe Inti Creates knew what they were doing before, I am certainly convinced now. This is Castlevania, no question, as true and faithful as anything that's ever come before. But it's only the best parts of Castlevania. Gothic atmosphere? Check. Multiple characters that you can swap between on the fly? Check. Different sub-weapons for each of those characters? You got it. Some of those tools even interact with the stage itself, making certain sections easier or opening up new paths through the level. Just be careful not to die as one of those characters, because instead of losing a life right away, the rest of the party gets sent back to the nearest checkpoint and takes their chance at the rest of the stage. And without that person's special powers, you might have to take them down a harder path, or miss out on health and sub-weapon capacity upgrades. What powers? I'm glad you asked. Miriam uses a whip and has the longest attack range of the group. Alfred is basically all sub-weapons. He has very powerful spells that can freeze enemies in place, tear through bosses, and even provide another character with a protective shield. And Jebel is a master at fighting enemies in the air. He's also the only character that can fly, which alone makes him insanely useful. The analogs are obvious. Miriam is the Belmont, Alfred is Sypha, and Jebel is Alucard. These map screens, this music, the way some of these enemies function, even certain exploits in the level design are intentionally included to evoke memories of very specific games. You see this hallway? I see what you did there. But being faithful is only half of this game's true achievement. Little quality of life improvements like better color palettes, bosses with flashy and intricate patterns, extra modes, instant character transitions, and multiple save files, including the ability to save itself, all come together to make this the best 8-bit Castlevania you will ever play. Remember my Fox and Forest review? Yeah, this is how you're supposed to do a modern-day classic-style game. Curse of the Moon on the casual setting lets you appreciate every enemy, every level, every throwback, every positive change, and every cheeky little cameo without any of the flaws from the games it's paying homage to getting in the way. You still have to buy an engagement ring for your jump arc, but nobody's perfect. I've put in my time when it comes to old school difficulty, so frankly, I'm glad they included a mode that forsakes what made classic Castlevania awful. Like, can we just stop pretending that lives are a thing that matter anymore? I don't know about you, but I have a lot more fun playing games like Curse of the Moon when I don't have that sword dangling over my head, when I know that I'm allowed to screw up once in a while without the constant fear that I'll have to start my whole playthrough all over again. But if that's your thing, the functionality is there. You want to get knocked into one of the 100 or so bottomless pits in these stages every time you take damage? Be my freaking guest. The point is that it's optional, meaning both of us can be happy. There's even less of a point to it because all the extra modes are locked not behind the difficulty you play on, but the actions you take in a playthrough. Beating the game once normally unlocks Nightmare Mode, which not only comes with its own unique final level, but also the best boss fight in the entire game. Getting the bad ending unlocks Ultimate Mode, which gives you a powered-up Zangetsu with new abilities right from the start, and unlocking both also gives you the Boss Rush mode. Sadly, you don't get anything for beating Boss Rush aside from an achievement, but by then, I had already dropped several hours into the game and gotten more than $10 worth of entertainment. And to think, this is just a preview of what's to come. I give Bloodstained Curse of the Moon my rating of a Treatza pizza. You remember having one of these when you were younger? Must have been at a friend's party or something. You always wanted one of your own, but by the time your own birthday rolled around, the company behind them stopped selling it. Sad times. But you recently found out that another company brought it back, made it better. And you're not a kid anymore at somebody else's celebration. You are a grown adult who can just buy their own however they like, customized to whatever taste you have. And because of that, it's just as good as you remember it being.